My wife's brother erased my adopted daughter from family photos because she's not really family and will confuse future generations. So I exposed her racism at a 70-person party and watched her lose everything. All right, Reddit. This story is absolutely insane. It happened over the last year, and it's hands down the most twisted, racist family drama I've ever lived through. My adopted daughter was literally erased from family photos by my sister-in-law, and I made sure the entire family knew what kind of person she was. I watched her get kicked out by everyone, even my brother. Obviously changed names because I'm not trying to get my ass sued. Here's what went down. I, 34 male, have been with my wife Veronica for 9 years total. My boys don't swim. Found out when we were trying for kids that my sperm are basically doing the dog paddle when they should be doing Michael Phelps shit. Veronica's fine. I'm the broken one. Whatever. Life happens. The whole fertility thing was a massive kick in the balls, literally and figuratively. Spent 2 years and about $30,000 on treatments. Doctor had the bedside manner of a DMV employee, explaining my suboptimal motility, like he was reading a grocery list. Veronica handled it way better than me, probably because she wasn't the one getting her manhood questioned by medical professionals twice a week. After burning through our savings on fertility treatments that went nowhere, we said screw it and decided to adopt. That's how we got Seraph when she was 5. She's 10 now, Black. Smart as hell, and honestly the coolest kid you'll ever meet. Girl draws these incredible superhero comics and roasts me on the regular. Kids got game. The adoption process was like applying for the CIA but with more paperwork and random home visits. Social workers showing up unannounced to make sure we hadn't turned into meth dealers since our last meeting. Background checks so thorough they probably knew what I had for lunch in 3rd grade. But when we met Seraph at the foster agency, everything clicked. Kid walked up to me, looked me dead in the eye and said, "Are you gonna be my new dad? Or just another guy who pretends to care?" Brutal honesty from a 5-year-old. I knew right then she was ours. Now my brother Isaac, 37 male, and we've been tight since day one. Built forts, got our asses handed to us by dad for breaking Mrs. Benedetti's window with a baseball. All that brother shit. Guys got my back through everything. Helped me move 6 times, drove 4 hours to bail me out when I got arrested for public urination in college. Long story involving tequila and poor judgment. Stood as my best man even though my bachelor party ended with him holding my hair while I puked in a Denny's parking lot. Real ride or die brotherhood. 3 years ago, he married Marilyn, and that's where this shit show begins. Marilyn is one of those people who thinks having a teaching degree makes her an expert on literally everything. You know the type. She'll, well, actually, you about your own damn life. She's got this way of asking questions that aren't really questions. They're just her telling you you're doing everything wrong. First time I met her was at a family barbecue, and within 5 minutes, she'd corrected my grilling technique, questioned my choice of marinades, and suggested a more nutritious alternative to the potato salad I brought. This woman literally tried to mansplain barbecue to me at my own family cookout. Should have known right then she was going to be trouble. She works at some bougie private school, where the parents drive cars that cost more than my house and give their kids names like Braxton and Kylie May. The kind of place that has diversity days, but somehow their staff looks like a country club brunch. Maryland fits right the hell in. Place charges 40 grand a year for kindergarten, and the kids still eat paste, but apparently it's artisanal organic paste made from sustainable wheat sources. From day one, I noticed she treated Seraph different. Not outright mean, but careful. Like Seraph was some exotic animal she wasn't sure how to handle. She'd ask Veronica these weird questions about Seraph's hair, her background, whether we planned to tell her about her real parents. Air quotes included because apparently we're just babysitting. The hair thing really got under my skin. Marilyn would stare at Seraph's braids like they were some mysterious archaeological artifact, asking invasive questions about maintenance requirements and whether we'd found someone qualified to do black hair. Like we'd adopted a daughter without figuring out basic shit like finding a hairdresser. Lady acted like managing a kid's hair was rocket science instead of just, parenting. Veronica shut that shit down immediately. We are her real parents. Yeah, we'll talk about her birth parents when she's ready, but right now she's got parents who love her, and that's what matters. Marilyn would do this fake-ass smile and change the subject, but you could see the wheels turning, like she was waiting for us to admit this was all some social experiment that would end eventually. The first red flag that should have sent me running happened about 6 months after Seraph came home. We're at a family barbecue, and Marilyn's doing her usual control freak thing, organizing the kids into activities. She's got them playing this game where they guess which baby photos belong to which family members. When she gets to Seraph, she holds up some random baby photo and goes, "Well, obviously we don't have one of Seraph, so let's just skip her turn." I'm looking at Veronica, who's getting that face she gets right before someone's about to get educated. But I jump in first. Actually, we do have baby photos of Seraph from when she was in foster care, but they're still her baby photos. Marilyn gets this look like I just told her I collect toenail clippings. "Oh, I didn't realize you had those kinds of photos." "What kinds of photos?" I'm keeping my voice level, but inside I'm like, what the actual fuck? You know, from before. I just assumed. She's realizing she stepped in it but can't find reverse. Before what? Before she was our daughter? Because newsflash, Marilyn, she's been our daughter since day one. Things got awkward after that, but I thought maybe I'd gotten through to her. Wrong. About 8 months later, Marilyn pulls some shit that really shows her true colors. We're at Isaac's for Sunday dinner. Kids are playing in the living room while us adults are talking in the kitchen. Seraph comes running in all excited, tugging on Marilyn's sleeve. "Aunt Marilyn, look what I drew." She's holding up this amazing picture of our whole family as superheroes. Drew me as Iron Man, Veronica as Wonder Woman, herself as Storm from X-Men because she controls weather and she's badass. Kids' artistic skills are legit impressive. She'd spent hours on this thing, getting all the costume details right. Even drew Isaac as Captain America because Uncle Ben's always trying to do the right thing. Seraph had been working on her comic book style, and this was like her masterpiece of family art. Marilyn barely glances at it before turning back to whatever BS conversation she was having with my mom. "That's nice, sweetie. Why don't you go show your parents?" Seraph's face just falls. "I wanted to show you because you're my aunt." And then Marilyn says the thing that should have gotten her throat punched right there. "Well, technically, I'm your uncle's wife, not really your aunt. But it's very pretty." Dead. Silence. Even my mom, who usually tries to keep peace at all costs, looks like someone just slapped her. Seraph's just standing there holding her drawing, trying to figure out why the woman she's been calling aunt for over a year is suddenly correcting her. You could see the confusion and hurt spreading across her face like watching a window crack. I stand up slow, feeling that heat building in my chest. "Marilyn, can we talk outside?" "Oh, it's fine," she waves me off. "I was just explaining family relationships. Kids need to understand these things correctly." "No, it's not fine." My voice is getting that edge. "Let's talk about family relationships. Like how when you marry someone, you become part of their family. All of it." Her face goes red. "I didn't mean it like that. I was just being accurate about..." "About what? About how you don't think our daughter counts?" "That's not what I said." "Then what the hell did you say? Because it sounded like you just told a 6-year-old she's not really your niece." Isaac tries to play peacekeeper. "Come on, guys, let's not blow this up. Marilyn didn't mean anything." But the damage is done. Seraph's gone quiet, standing next to Veronica, who's looking at Marilyn like she wants to throw her through a window. The kid's still holding her superhero drawing, but all the excitement's drained out of her face. Marilyn tries backtracking, saying she was being educational about family structures. But I'm done. I tell her if she can't treat Seraph like every other kid in this family, maybe she needs to figure out why. The rest of dinner was tense as hell. Marilyn kept overcompensating, being fake nice to Seraph, but it felt gross and weird. "Drive home," Seraph asks Veronica why Marilyn said she wasn't really her aunt. Veronica explains that some adults are idiots who don't understand that families come in all shapes, but that doesn't make our family any less real. That night, Veronica and I decide we're keeping a close eye on this bitch and calling her out immediately if she pulls anything else. Should have known it was going to get worse. People like Marilyn don't just stop being awful because you call them out once. They get sneakier. This is where two absolute legends enter the story. First is Dr. Francesca Romano, Seraph's school counselor, who's basically a superhero disguised as a tiny Italian woman. Looks like a strong wind could knock her over, but she's got the spine of a steel beam when it comes to protecting kids. Dr. Romano's one of those people who chose her profession because she actually gives a shit about children, not because she couldn't hack it in the real world. Woman's got a PhD in child psychology, speaks 4 languages, and can spot emotional manipulation from 3 zip codes away. She'd been working in school systems for 20 years and had seen every type of family dysfunction imaginable. Dr. Romano had been working with Seraph on some standard adoption stuff. Nothing dramatic, just helping her process having birth parents and adoptive parents. Seraph loved her, and Dr. Romano always kept us in the loop. She'd send home these detailed progress reports that made you feel like your kid was getting presidential-level attention. Second MVP is my buddy Xavier Callahan, who works IT for the school district where Marilyn teaches. Xavier's usually quiet but sees everything. Also has a mixed-race daughter from his first marriage, so he's dealt with his share of ignorant assholes. Guy's a tech wizard who looks like he should be fixing motorcycles instead of debugging network servers, but can code circles around MIT graduates. Xavier and I go way back to high school, where he taught me the fine art of bypassing the school's internet filters to play online games during computer class. Dude's always been loyal as hell, the kind of friend who'll help you move a body without asking questions, then suggest better disposal methods. About 6 months after the ant incident, Marilyn decides she's going to get involved in Seraph's education. Starts asking questions about what school she goes to, her grades, whether we'd considered specialized programs. First, I'm thinking maybe she's trying to make up for being a bitch earlier, but then she starts pushing this idea that Seraph should be in culturally appropriate educational settings. There are excellent programs designed specifically for children with Seraph's background, she says during a visit. Programs that understand the unique challenges these kids face. What unique challenges? Veronica's getting that schooling tone. Well, identity formation, cultural disconnect, attachment issues from early trauma, complex psychological factors regular teachers aren't trained for. My pressure's spiking. Seraph doesn't have attachment issues. She's got a family that loves her and she's killing it at school. Of course she is, in that condescending tone she uses when she thinks she knows better. But wouldn't you want her around other children who look like her? Who share her experiences? Her experiences? I'm standing now, done with this shit. What exactly do you think Seraph's experiences are? Children from disrupted backgrounds often benefit from specialized attention. There's research on this. The way she said disrupted backgrounds made my skin crawl. Like Seraph was some damaged goods we'd picked up at a clearance sale. This woman was talking about our daughter like she was a rehabilitation project instead of a normal kid who happened to be adopted. Disrupted backgrounds? Veronica's up too. What the hell is wrong with you? Then Marilyn pulls out this condescending smile and says, "Look, I know you mean well, but you're not equipped to understand the psychological complexities of raising a child who doesn't share your genetic background. There are cultural and developmental factors you're simply not qualified to address." Dead silence. Even Isaac staring at his wife like he's never seen her before. "Get out," I say quietly. "What?" "Get out of my house. Right now." She tries backtracking, saying she was just trying to help, but I'm done. I tell her if she can't respect our family and our daughter, she's not welcome here. Isaac tries calming everyone down, but I'm not backing down. Tell him his wife just basically called us unfit parents because we're white and our daughter's black. And if he's cool with that, he can leave too. They bounce, with Marilyn muttering about us being oversensitive and taking her comments out of context. But I knew what I heard, and so did Seraph, who was supposed to be upstairs but had been listening from the hallway. That night, Dr. Romano calls. Seraph had asked to talk about something bothering her, and she wanted to make sure we knew what was up. "Seraph told me someone in your family said she needed to go to a different school because of how she looks. I want to make sure we're addressing any concerns about her place in your family." I explain the Marilyn situation, and Dr. Romano listens without interrupting. When I finish, she's quiet for a long moment. "Mr. Daniel, what your sister-in-law suggested isn't just inappropriate, it's racial discrimination. The idea that a child needs to be separated from their family and placed in culturally appropriate settings based on race is something we see from people who don't really accept interracial families." She pauses. "I'm documenting this conversation, and if there are more incidents like this, we need to take them seriously. This behavior can seriously damage a child's sense of security and belonging." That's when it hit me. Marilyn wasn't just being awkward or insensitive. She was actively trying to destroy our family. Things went quiet for a couple months after the school incident. Isaac apparently had some serious talks with Marilyn about her behavior, and she was being more careful around us. Should have known she was just getting sneakier about her BS. During this quiet period, she actually seemed to be making an effort. She'd compliment Seraph's artwork, ask about school projects, even brought her small gifts when she visited. I started wondering if maybe we'd gotten through to her, if the confrontation had actually made her realize how messed up she'd been acting. Nope. The breaking point came when my mom asked me to help organize family photos for a digital album she was making. She'd been collecting photos from everyone for this big family history project, trying to get everything digitized before the old prints started deteriorating. I'm going through boxes at her house when I find something that makes my blood run cold. Multiple versions of the same photos, some with Seraph, some without. At first, I'm thinking maybe just different shots taken at the same time, but when I look closer, I can see the editing marks. Someone had been systematically removing Seraph from family photos. not just cropping her out, but actually using photo editing software to erase her completely and fill in the backgrounds. Professional level work that takes serious time and skill. The technical precision was what really freaked me out. This wasn't some amateur hour BS where you could see obvious gaps or weird shadows. Whoever did this had skills. I call my mom over. She goes pale when she sees what I found. Dominic, I don't understand. Why would someone do this? Only one person in our family had both the technical skills and motivation for something this screwed up. Marilyn worked with digital media at her school and had been volunteering to help with photo organization at family events. I take pictures of the evidence and call Veronica. When she sees what Marilyn did, she starts crying. Not sad crying, rage crying. She's been erasing our daughter from our family history, systematically removing her from our memories. That's when Xavier Callahan comes back into the story. Remember, he works IT for the school district and has digital forensics experience from his previous job. I call him asking if he can help figure out who did this. Xavier comes over that evening and examines the photos. Within an hour, he'd traced the editing signature back to software, licensed to Maryland's school. Found metadata showing exactly when and where the editing was done. This is damning stuff, Xavier says, showing me the data. These files were all edited on the same computer, same software license, over the past 18 months. Someone's been working on this steadily. But Xavier found something else that made it even worse. Marilyn hadn't just been editing our photos. She'd been creating 2 complete sets of everything. One with serif included that she gave to us and my parents. Another with serif removed that she kept for herself and shared with extended family. She's been creating an alternate version of your family history, Xavier explains. One where your daughter never existed. I felt sick. This wasn't casual racism or awkward family dynamics. This was calculated, deliberate erasure of my child from our family's story. Veronica and I decided we needed to confront Isaac with the evidence. When we showed him the before and after images, he was genuinely shocked. He'd seen some edited photos but hadn't realized what Marilyn was doing. Thought she was just improving compositions. I knew she was particular about photos, he says, staring at the evidence. But I didn't realize, this is sick. This is freaking sick. Isaac promised to confront Marilyn, but I could see him struggling with the implications. That night, Veronica and I made a decision. We weren't waiting for Isaac to handle this. We were going to expose Marilyn's behavior to the entire family in a way that made it impossible for her to deny or minimize. Time to plan what became known in our family as the anniversary party nuclear option. My parents' 40th wedding anniversary was coming up in 2 months, and it was going to be the perfect opportunity to expose Marilyn's racist bullshit to the entire extended family. But we couldn't just ambush her. Had to be smart about it. The timing was perfect because Mom had been planning this anniversary celebration for months. She'd invited everyone, siblings, cousins, family friends, neighbors, even Dad's old work buddies. It was going to be the biggest family gathering we'd had in years, with about 70 people expected. Maximum audience for maximum impact. Veronica and I spent weeks planning our approach, made copies of all the edited photos, documented everything Marilyn had done, reached out to Dr. Romano for advice on handling it in a way that protected Seraph, talked to Xavier about the technical evidence too. He'd been digging deeper and found Marilyn had been even busier than we realized. She'd been editing photos going back about 18 months, starting around the time she'd gotten comfortable in our family. She's got a whole archive of edited family photos, Xavier tells me. Like she's been maintaining a parallel universe where your daughter doesn't exist. The scope of it was mind-blowing. Marilyn had created edited versions of Christmas photos, birthday parties, family vacations, casual get-togethers. Every significant family moment had been scrubbed clean of Seraph's presence in Marilyn's alternate reality. It was like she'd been playing some twisted game of historical revisionism, rewriting our family's story to match her racist vision of what families should look like. 2 weeks before the anniversary party, Marilyn volunteers to coordinate photography for the event. Says she wants everything properly documented for posterity. Veronica and I exchange looks. This was exactly what we'd been hoping for. We tell Marilyn it's a great idea and will help however we can. What we don't tell her is, we'd already hired our own photographer, someone who specialized in family events and understood exactly what we were trying to accomplish. We also start reaching out to family members who'd be at the party. Don't tell them everything, but make sure they know to pay attention to how Marilyn treats Seraph during photo sessions. My sister Celeste was particularly ready to back us up. She'd already had her own beef with Marilyn about a week after we discovered the photo editing. She didn't confront her with everything, of course, not yet. I'd shown Celeste the evidence, and she was absolutely livid. She marched over to Isaac's house the next day when she knew he'd be at work and cornered Marilyn in her own kitchen. "What the hell is wrong with you?" Celeste demanded. "What is wrong with me? You need to cut this BS with my niece. You have no right to treat my niece like garbage." "What the hell? Get out of my house! You don't get to come here and accuse me with nonsense." According to Celeste, Marilyn acted all confused and innocent. They fought, then Celeste left when Marilyn wanted to call the cops. It ended with Celeste telling her she was a disgrace to the family. Marilyn just stood there with her mouth open, probably never having been called out so directly before. When Celeste told me about it later, she was still shaking with anger. "That bitch is poison. I wanted to slap the shit out of her," she said. "And Isaac needs to wake up before she destroys his relationship with the whole family." My uncle Matthias, who's a retired lawyer, also agreed to be there as a witness to whatever happened. Night before the party, Veronica and I sit down with Seraph for a careful conversation about what might happen. Don't want to scare her, but want her prepared if things get tense. "Tomorrow there might be some adult drama," Veronica tells her. "But no matter what happens, you are loved and wanted and you belong in this family. Okay?" Seraph nods, but I can see she's picking up on the tension. Kids always do. "Is Aunt Marilyn going to be mean to me again?" she asks quietly. "We're not going to let that happen," I promise her. "And if she tries, there are going to be consequences this time." Morning of the party. Today, everyone was going to see exactly who Marilyn really was. The party's at the community center in my parents' neighborhood. By 2 p.m., there's about 70 people there. Family, friends, neighbors, people from Dad's work. Marilyn shows up early with her camera equipment, ready to play helpful daughter-in-law documenting the big day. I'm watching her work the room, being all charming and social, making sure everyone knows how much effort she put into organizing the photo sessions. She's got this whole setup that looks legit professional. Multiple cameras, professional lighting equipment she borrowed from school, even printed schedules for different family combinations. She's positioned herself as the official family historian, the person responsible for preserving these precious memories. The irony was thick enough to choke on. Around 3 p.m., Marilyn starts gathering people for formal family photos. She's using professional camera setup she borrowed from her school, positioned herself as the official photographer. "Okay, let's start with grandparents and grandchildren," she announces, gesturing for my parents to come forward. This is the moment we'd been waiting for. Marilyn starts positioning the 6 grandkids around my parents, but when Seraph moves to join the group, Marilyn gently but firmly guides her away. "Sweetie, this shot is just for the biological grandchildren," Marilyn says, with that fake smile she'd perfected. "We'll do a bigger group shot later." The reaction is immediate and electric. My mom's face goes white. Dad stands up straighter, expression darkening. Celeste gasps audibly. But before anyone can say anything, I step forward. "Marilyn, what did you just say?" "I said we'll do biological grandchildren first, then a larger group with everyone. And where exactly does that leave my daughter?" Her smile falters for just a second. "Well, I thought it would be nice to have some traditional family photos showing the actual relationship, for historical purposes." And that's when Mom finds her voice. "Marilyn, Seraph is our granddaughter. She's been our granddaughter for 5 years. Of course she's part of the family," Marilyn says quickly. "But for formal documentation purposes, it's important to distinguish between biological and adopted relationships." I can feel the energy in the room shifting. People are starting to pay attention, sensing something's wrong. Dr. Romano, who we'd invited as a friend of the family, is watching carefully from the side. "Right," I say, my voice carrying across the room. "Why do you think it's important to distinguish between biological and adopted relationships?" "It's just more accurate. People looking at these photos in the future will want to understand the actual family structure." "The actual family structure?" Veronica steps forward, voice getting louder. "What do you mean by that?" Marilyn's starting to realize she walked into a trap, but she's too committed to back down now. "I mean the genetic relationships, the real family connections." "So Seraph isn't really family?" I ask. "That's not what I said." "Then what are you saying?" Her composure's cracking. "I'm saying there's a difference between biological children and adopted children, and that difference should be acknowledged in family records." Uncle Matthias speaks up from the back. "Marilyn, what difference would that be?" "Well, obviously biological children share genetic heritage with their grandparents. They're the actual descendants of the family line." Room's dead silent now. Even the kids stopped playing to listen. That's when I pull out my phone and open the photo album I'd prepared. Speaking of family records, I have some photos I'd like to share with everyone. I connect my phone to the big screen TV in the community center and start displaying the before and after photos. Edited versions where Seraph had been removed, next to originals where she was included. These are photos from the last year and a half, I announced to the room. Left side are originals. Right side are versions Marilyn created where she digitally removed our daughter from our family history. The reaction is immediate and intense. People gasp, start talking, some stand up to get a better look. Marilyn's face goes from red to pale to green. Those are. I was just. I was improving the compositions, she stammers. Improving them how? I ask. By erasing a child? Xavier steps forward with his laptop. Actually, I can show you exactly how systematic this was, connecting his computer to the screen. Marilyn didn't just edit a few photos. She created an entire alternate archive of your family history. The technical evidence is devastating. Xavier shows metadata, editing signatures, timeline of when photos were altered. Clear that she had been working on this project for over a year, methodically removing Seraph from every family photo she could get. She's been maintaining two versions of your family, Xavier explains to the crowd. One where your daughter exists, and one where she doesn't. Room erupts. People are horrified, disgusted, angry. My parents look devastated. Isaac's staring at his wife like he'd never seen her before. But Marilyn's not done digging her own grave. Instead of apologizing or trying to explain, she doubles down. You're all being ridiculous, voice rising. I'm the only one here being realistic about family dynamics. Some relationships are simply different from others, and acknowledging that isn't wrong. There's nothing wrong about wanting to preserve traditional family documentation for future generations. She's getting more agitated, her mask slipping. I've been trying to be sensitive about this whole situation for years, but apparently being thoughtful about family heritage and genetic lineage makes me the villain here. Her voice is getting shriller. Fine, if wanting to maintain some sense of actual family history, real family connections, makes me terrible, then I guess I'm terrible. But at least I'm being honest about what families actually are instead of playing along with this nonsense. That's when Seraph, who'd been quietly holding Veronica's hand through this whole thing, speaks up in a small voice that somehow carries across the silent room. Why do you hate me so much? The question breaks something in the room. Several people start whispering. Dad steps forward, voice shaking with rage. Marilyn, you need to leave. Right now. What? I'm family. I organized this whole thing. No, Mom says, standing next to my dad. Someone who treats our granddaughter like she's disposable is not family. Get out. That's when Isaac finally grows a pair, looks at his wife with complete disgust and says, We're leaving, and you and I have serious things to talk about. Marilyn tries to argue, but Isaac's already walking toward the exit. She has no choice but to follow, shouting about how everyone's being too sensitive, and she's the only one telling the truth. After they leave, the party continues, but with completely different energy. People make a point of including Seraph in every photo, every conversation, every activity. She's surrounded by love and support, and by the end of the day, she's back to her normal, happy self. But the best part was yet to come, because Marilyn's behavior at the party was just the beginning of her complete and total destruction. The aftermath was swift and absolutely brutal. Within 48 hours, Marilyn's life as she knew it was over, and honestly, it was freaking beautiful to watch. Started with Isaac, who filed for divorce Monday after the party. But this wasn't going to be some quiet, amicable split. Isaac was furious about being deceived for years, and he wanted everyone to know exactly why his marriage was ending. He posted a detailed explanation on social media, including some of the edited photos as evidence. People were horrified by what Marilyn had done, and the story spread through the community quickly. The Facebook post was a masterpiece of controlled rage. Isaac laid out everything. He didn't hold back, and the response was immediate and overwhelming. The post got shared so many times it reached neighboring towns, and people started commenting with their own stories about similar experiences. But the real damage came from Xavier, who'd been doing more digging into Marilyn's digital activities. He'd been curious about what else Marilyn might have been up to on school computers. What he found was absolutely devastating. Marilyn had been using school resources to edit the family photos, which violated district policy. But worse, she'd been running a side business doing photo editing for parents at her school, using district software and equipment. Xavier also discovered Marilyn had been sharing edited photos on social media, along with commentary about challenges of non-traditional family structures. She'd been using our family as a case study in her online discussions about adoption and race, portraying herself as the voice of reason dealing with a problematic situation. The digital forensics were damning. Xavier found dozens of files on school servers showing Marilyn's editing work, both for our family photos and her side business. Timestamps proved she'd been doing personal projects during school hours, using expensive software the district had licensed for educational purposes. School district launched an immediate investigation. Using district resources for personal projects was grounds for termination, but the racial implications made it nuclear. Marilyn worked at a school with diverse students, and the school couldn't ignore that she'd been systematically removing a black child from family photos. Dr. Romano, who'd been documenting Marilyn's behavior for months, provided a detailed report to the district about Marilyn's attitudes toward interracial families and adopted children. Report raised serious questions about whether Marilyn could be trusted to treat all students fairly. Investigation found Marilyn had been making inappropriate comments about students' family structures, particularly kids from non-traditional families. She'd been recommending certain students be moved to more appropriate educational settings, and there was a pattern of her treating students differently based on their family situations. Marilyn was terminated within 2 weeks of the anniversary party. District cited multiple policy violations, misuse of resources, and conduct unbecoming of an educator. Because she was fired for cause, she wouldn't be eligible for unemployment benefits. But the hits kept coming. Story had spread throughout the local education community, and Marilyn's reputation was completely destroyed. No other school district would hire her, and her teaching license was under review by the state. Her side business collapsed overnight when clients found out about the racist photo editing. Parents who'd hired her to document their children's milestones were horrified to learn she'd been selectively editing out certain family members. Some of her former clients started their own investigation, demanding to see unedited versions of photos they'd paid for. Turned out Marilyn had been doing subtle editing on some family photos, lightening skin tones, removing diverse friends from birthday party shots, even editing out family members who didn't fit her vision. Divorce proceedings were brutal. Isaac had evidence of Marilyn's deception, her misuse of marital assets for her business, and her behavior toward his family. She ended up with minimal assets, no house, no alimony, limited savings. She tried controlling the narrative by creating her own social media posts, claiming she was being persecuted for having traditional family values. But posts just made things worse. Her own friends and family started commenting with their own stories about her behavior, and the comments section became a graveyard of her reputation. The social media meltdown was spectacular. Marilyn posted these long, rambling screeds about how she was the victim of political correctness gone mad, and how people were attacking her for being honest about family structures. Each post made her look worse, and her former friends started sharing their own stories about weird comments she'd made about their families. She eventually deleted all her social media accounts and moved out of state to live with her sister. But the internet doesn't forget, and the story followed her wherever she went. Meanwhile, our family was thriving. Anniversary party incident had actually brought everyone closer together. Extended family members made extra efforts to include Seraph in everything, and she developed stronger relationships with her aunts, uncles, and cousins. Isaac became one of Seraph's biggest champions, takes her on special uncle-niece adventures, comes to every school performance, even started volunteering with adoption advocacy groups. Says seeing how his ex-wife treated Seraph made him realize he wanted to be part of the solution to these problems. 6 months after the anniversary party, Isaac's divorce was finalized. He got to keep the house, car, and most of their savings. Marilyn got a one-way ticket to another state and a hard lesson about the consequences of racism. Professional family photos from the anniversary party turned out beautiful, and they're prominently displayed in our house and my parents' house. Seraph loves looking at them because she can see how naturally she fits into our big, loving family. A couple weeks ago, I asked if she ever wanted to change her name to something easier. She rolled her eyes and said, "Nah, let them learn to say Seraph. I'm not the one who needs to change." And that's the best part of this whole story. Watching my kid getting more confident and more sure about her place in our family. Last month, she asked me why Marilyn was so angry about her being adopted. I told her some people have small hearts and small minds, and they can't understand that families are built on love, not just biology. "Well," Seraph said, "I'm glad Marilyn's gone, because now I don't have to pretend to like her anymore." Kids got a point. Sometimes the trash takes itself out, and sometimes it takes its entire life down with it. And that's exactly what this racist piece of shit deserved.